Welcome back. This afternoon, you're listening to the Todd Laborowitz Show, Real Estate Radio on Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. I am your host, Todd Laborowitz, and we have with us in the studio Jodi Anderson from Jodi Anderson. We're going to be discussing financial power of attorneys. Now, this is huge.
Yes,
a lot of people don't take this for granted.
Yeah, a lot of people, unfortunately, don't have it, don't know too much about it.
And it's a simple legal document.
It is.
That's affordable.
It is. It's very affordable. Specifically at our firm, we've made it affordable for everyone because everyone needs it.
I agree with you. Because I remember that study in that one town.
Yes. That one actually had to do with healthcare power of attorney, but financial and healthcare go together. And when they're planned, it saves a lot of money. It avoids people and your loved ones needing to go to court to have the authority to care for you.
Right. So what exactly is a financial power of attorney?
A financial power of attorney is used if a loved one has something happen to them in life that's uncertain and they no longer have the ability to control their finances or make financial decisions. A financial power of attorney gives what's called the agent the authority to make those decisions, to move money around, to pay for mortgages, for car payments, to pay for any health care or something like that. Just everyday things that unless one has that authority for you, no one else can do anything with your money.
That's amazing. It can happen at any time, any place.
Yes, it can actually. A lot of people get a lot of calls saying, I just want a will. All I want is a simple will. The issue with that is a will kicks in after you pass away. But what happens if life happens and you slip and fall and you are hurt, can't make you can't make any financial decisions. Maybe Alzheimer's starts to, kick in. So you are with us, you're with people, you're even living in your home, but no one has the ability to make financial decisions for you, and they need to because you are not able to make those decisions on your own.
So let's lean in because you talked about it a little bit. Like, who exactly needs one and why?
Everyone needs one because life is uncertain. You don't know when anything's going to happen. And no one else, unless you give them authority, has the authority to do anything with your money. Okay. Even spouses. A lot of people think their spouses have the authority to do things on their behalf financially, and that's not true.
Okay. And is there any life changes that trigger someone to get a financial power of attorney? Because, like, when someone gets married, they have kids, they say, when someone gets married, they say, oh, I need a prenup.
Yes.
When someone has kids, oh, I need a will.
Yes.
What triggers that I need a financial power of attorney other than someone experiencing the difficulties and said, wait, I better get one?
Well,
how do you get people to wake up on this?
I'm not quite sure how you get them to. Unfortunately, if they know somebody who's gone through the situation, that will wake them up. But I would say if you have bills, it's a good idea to have a financial power of attorney because if something happens to you, those bills still need to be paid. If you have any money in the bank, you need a financial power of attorney. But there are some situations where you absolutely, as a red flag, this needs to become a priority. That would be if someone in your life you're seeing, or if you yourself get diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia, or something where your capacity at some point will be limited. You want to have that financial power of attorney done before, because once you are considered incapacitated and able to make decisions on your own, you can no longer choose the person who will be in charge of your finances. A court will then do that.
Wow, so there's a lot of obstacles if you don't figure this out by getting the financial power of attorney. Now, let me ask you, when you pick the person that you choose,
yes,
is there any tips on how do you pick that right person?
Well, it needs to be somebody that you can trust. They will have authority to use your money in any way that you designate.
Does it have to be a specific power of attorney, or it could be just like all...
Financial is everything except that you do need a specific power of attorney for real property.
Okay.
A lot of people think, okay, well, I have financial power of attorney, I'm good. And then they end up coming to us saying, can you help me move this property, sell this property? I have financial power of attorney. That does not allow anybody to do anything when it's just financial. You just need to tell an attorney if there is real property involved, and that can be drafted, but it's not automatic.
Okay, so there's a difference between financial power of attorney and specific power of attorney.
For property, yes.
For property. Okay. Now, how does one get a financial power of attorney?
Well, you need to go to a lawyer in Maryland, and this is why. Maryland has changed its law, and I think it was a very good change, that said that if it's drafted in a very specific way, and attorneys know the specific way, then a financial institution must honor it. And if they do not, and you have to go to court over it, which unfortunately does happen, you will recover those attorney's fees.
Oh, wow.
And that's a really good change because I remember it was less than 5 years ago when this happened. My grandmother became disabled. We had a financial power of attorney, and nobody would honor it. They said based on our policies, and all banks have different policies. Everywhere has different policies. And they would say, this does not fit our policy, and they wouldn't honor it. Because that happens so much, the law has changed, but it has to be a specific form or they can refuse to honor it.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Now, we also cover Virginia and D.C. Do you have any advice for them, or are you not allowed to go in that
Oh, no, I'm barred in Virginia and D.C.
Okay.
Yeah. It's actually very similar. So having an attorney draft a financial power of attorney matters because you want to make sure that they bring up the things that you should have power of attorney for. Again, the real property. And also the form so that it is in fact honored. Because when you will be using a power of attorney is when your life is very chaotic. You're going through a lot of things emotionally and, of course, financially, or the people you love are too. It brings some peace and order. If financial institutions, the very reason you have it, will not honor it, then it's just like not having one. So go to attorney first to make sure it's drafted properly and it will be honored.
Perfect. Well, by the way, if you're just tuning in, I have with me Jodi Anderson from Jodi Anderson, and we're discussing financial power of attorney. I'm your host, Todd Laborowit, and you're listening to Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. Now, Jodi, what's the difference between a will and a financial power of attorney?
A lot of people think they're the same, and this is the biggest difference. A will is after you have passed away. A financial power of attorney is when you have not passed away, but you cannot make decisions for yourself any longer. I've spoken to many people who I've asked, do you have a financial power of attorney? And they respond to me, yes, it's in my will. And that's not good. I mean, a lot of reasons you have these documents, people do them not for them, but for their family, to help them in these very chaotic and difficult situations. So you need to make sure that you know the difference. They're for very different situations.
Perfect. Well, can a spouse automatically be a power of attorney, or does you have to create a power of attorney?
You do have to create a power of attorney. Now, I would speak to an attorney about this because you can be added jointly to a checking account so that your spouse can get to some of that money. But it is not automatic. If I'm the only person on my bank account, my husband cannot go in and withdraw. He cannot say, my wife is in a coma, or my wife hit her head, she can't come in, she's disabled, but we need this money for health care. I need to withdraw it. They will not and should not allow him to withdraw it simply because he's my spouse, even if he can prove that he's my spouse.
Wow. Now, when does a financial power of attorney go into effect?
That is a very good question. You have complete control over when it goes into effect. You can either decide that it goes into effect immediately upon execution of the document.
So that at any time?
Well, instantly. You can say instantly.
Or what would be a situation where someone would pick instantly?
I actually recommend instantly, and this is why. Because if you're going to say, Todd, if I were to pick you as my financial power of attorney, okay, I would be able to say with all confidence, hopefully, I trust Todd with my money. Otherwise, I wouldn't pick him. If I'm going to trust you with my money when I'm incapacitated and I can't stop you from doing anything, then I can trust you with it now. When I know what you're doing. I don't lose my authority to do anything with my money. You have authority with it now. And then let's say that heaven forbid something happens tomorrow and I get in a car accident or I just fall down the stairs, which unfortunately happens. You instantly have the authority to act financially for me. Otherwise, what needs to happen and what other people say is it becomes effective once two physicians certify that I cannot make financial decisions. I do not understand the effect of my decisions. Now, again, I think it's best to have it immediate because in that situation, you might need to get immediate access, right? And not be able to wait to get two physicians in, to spend the time and money to get two physicians in, to certify that. And you also might have a bank that looks at it and says, I don't like the certification, or I have a problem with the way this is worded. So if you're agreeable to making it instantly, I recommend that because there's no question about when it starts. And if you trust the person implicitly to do things when you can't control what they do, you should trust them now.
So there's a lot of loopholes if you have to get to two physicians. Plus, if someone has the power of attorney for their health and they're not getting along with the financial, you got a whole...
Yes. Because of the purpose of it, I recommend immediate.
Okay.
So that, because it can happen at any time and be a very difficult situation where you instantly need access to funds.
Okay. Well, I know you're always on the show and talking about, we talked about power of attorneys for special needs. We talked about power of attorneys for finance. We've talked about power of attorney for health. Also talked about wills. And one of the things that you help our listeners with is actually putting all that together and finding out what their needs are. And on our website, we actually have, if you become a fan of the show at toddleborowit.com, there's a free...
kind of like a kit.
A free kit.
Yeah.
For them to get. So when you go to sign up as a fan, it's right there.
Yeah.
And you can click on that, and it's like a starter kit of all these things that you can get
and
at no cost.
Correct. And some information about why we're talking about financial power of attorney right now, but how all of the different documents work together and are comprehensive to care for both you and the ones that you love. Okay.
Well, that's wonderful. Jodi Anderson from Jodi Anderson talking about financial power of attorney. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to Michael Royal, who's a wholesale investor, talking about construction loans. If you're looking to get a construction loan, you want to tune into this one.